Morocco has declared 3 days of national mourning following the deadliest earthquake in more than 60 years. A 6.8 magnitude quake hit that country, which is in the north of Africa, on Friday, killing over 2,000 people. Search and rescue operations are continuing, with many still feared trapped under the rubble. Let's get an update now, and we speak to a journalist from Morocco, Hamza EL Anfassi. Mr. EL Anfassi, thank you very much for your time. Let's begin with the rescue efforts. How are those going at the moment, and is the country well equipped to try and deal with this on its own?
First, thank you for having me, and our condolences go to the families who lost their loved ones in the earthquake, the biggest earthquake to hit Morocco in the last century. To go back to your question about is Morocco ready, I don't think any country can be ready for as devastating of an earthquake as this one, but I think Morocco has enough resources and enough technical abilities, and also allies who can advise in these situations. Moroccan rescue teams are on the ground. All security forces and other stakeholders are on the ground. We also saw the mobilization of civil society and also just the generosity of everyday Moroccans to try to help as much as possible in their rescue efforts.
Yeah. Well, as at the last update, Hamza, the people that were killed by this earthquake, that number stood at 2,012. Do we know whether that has remained the same, or sadly more people have been found dead?
Unfortunately, the number rose to 2,122 people dead, but everybody expects that the number will exponentially rise as the rescue efforts reach hard-hit areas and remote areas. The unfortunate reality is that many of these beautiful villages and towns that are historic are very remote, are in the high Atlas mountains, and the rescue teams are digging their way to find more people under the rubble, and unfortunately we expect that number to rise.
Yeah, a number of countries have already pledged aid to Morocco. We're talking about France, Spain, Italy, the United States, including Israel. But importantly, how that aid gets into the country is of major importance. And the reason we're saying that is because of that frosty relationship with neighboring Algeria. The airspace, we understand, has been opened by that country in order to allow for aid to be flown in. Is that indeed the case?
Yeah, just to clarify here, that was just a PR stunt from Algeria, because the airspace of Algerian airspace was not closed to the world. It was closed only to Moroccan airplanes. And Moroccan airplanes are not going to go flying over Algeria to go to hard-hit areas. So that was, if you break it down, what Algeria did is just a PR stunt, because they did not close their airspace to any other country. So when they're coming to Morocco, Algeria does not have the authority to stop them because it's not closed in the first place. So that the Algerian airspace was closed only to Moroccan airplanes, and Moroccan airplanes do not have any reason to fly over Algeria for now. Going back to the aid, more countries actually declared help and declared that they are ready to help Morocco in this tumultuous times. You mentioned European countries and the United States, but most Arab countries declared their help, sent help. Algeria is one of the countries that declared that they are ready to help if they are needed. So we have to distinguish between two things, and there are countries who are already on the ground. Spain, there are Spanish rescue teams, British, and others. So I think that what's beautiful about this, although it is a tragedy, is that the world is seen as all united in their support for Morocco.
Yeah. Let's talk about the funerals, Hamza. It's a massive number of people that sadly are dying or have been recovered to have lost their lives. How are those going? Is the country, is the government coping with that number of people who need to be laid to rest?
Yes, unfortunately the numbers are very high, like you said. Moroccans showed a high support for people there, the solidarity of people who are coming from all over Morocco, from the north to the Sahara region. They're all coming to that region to help. For the funerals, people in Morocco, we know that they are very resilient, and they are going through these funerals with the high hopes of finding others alive, because we're still finding people under the rubble alive to this day. And unfortunately, we don't have a lot of experience in this. We were fortunate to not have big earthquakes before, but now people are listening to experts and just regular citizens from other areas. Yesterday I had a conversation with my friends in Syria, and they were giving me some very, very good advice in listening to people and the extreme silence. So people are dealing gracefully with the funerals and the dead. Unfortunately, we saw some mass graves, because some places it's the whole town that was killed. But thankfully, people are dealing with this with high grace. But like I told a lot of people who were reaching out, we are okay physically, but I'm sure that the Moroccans will be emotionally and psychologically shaken and scarred for some time to go. And that's when we need actually real psychological support for people in those areas.
It is a painful process indeed. Let's conclude the conversation, Hamza, with the Red Cross quoted as suggesting that the damage that has been caused by this earthquake will take years to repair. Earlier I heard you saying that some of the areas that have unfortunately been damaged, it's one of those historic sites. The amount of damage, is it possible to quantify it at this time?
So, like you said, it's going to take years to rebuild. Unfortunately, we're talking about billions of dollars of damage, but it is sometimes it's priceless what we lost. We lost historic mosques that go back to the 10th, 11th, and 12th century. So it is part of Morocco that is lost. We hope that these sites would be some of the priorities of the government and the people to rebuild, because these are part of the immaterial history of Morocco. And everybody knows about the old Medina of Marrakesh and the winding streets and the old buildings that go back, like I said, over a millennia ago. So far we're talking about billions of dollars of damage, but it is beyond just the quantifiable. It is the immaterial. It is the essence of Moroccan history that's partly lost now.
Hamza EL Anfassi, let me thank you very much for your time and update here. He is a journalist based in Morocco.